Welcome to TV Africa News. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Nahab Kashura, but first are the headlines. Suspended NGOs accuse government of witch hunt. FDC demands for a plan of vaccinating Ugandans. The Democratic Republic of Congo mourns founder of the ruling party, UDPS. And in our sports today, Basena kicks off duties as Uganda Cranes assistant coach. Once again, thank you so much for joining us, and we start with one of our top stories. On Friday, government announced it had halted the activities of 54 non-governmental organizations for, among other reasons, for not submitting annual returns. Now, however, in a statement released over the weekend, the African Institute for Energy Governance said that they only targeted NGOs critical to government. We have more on this report.
The African Institute for Energy Governance, one of the suspended NGOs, said that they have been targeted because they play key human as well as environmental rights protection roles in the oil and gas sector and also hold government accountable with neither fear nor favor. According to Afiego, many of those NGOs labeled as critical to government have always been targeted with threats of deregistration, freezing of their bank accounts, arrests and office raids, among others. Great Lakes Institute for Strategic Studies, Godba Tumshabe, reiterated the same comments of witch hunt by government. Youth Line Forum, another suspended NGO, insisted that they were surprised by government's decision to suspend their activities despite meeting all the requirements. The NGO said that whereas they appeared on the list of 55 NGOs whose activities had been suspended by government, they have not formally been informed of the same decision. Chapter 4 Executive Director Nicholas Opio said they had been notified of the indefinite suspension of their permit, but said they would engage government over the same. Following the suspension of the 55 NGOs, it remains to be seen what will happen to their staff and projects they have been doing or funding.
Thank you so much, our reporter. Now moving on, Opposition Forum for Democratic Change, FDC, has urged government to draw a COVID-19 vaccination plan which will be used to vaccinate Ugandans so that all beneficiaries are catered for. The call was made by party spokesperson Ibrahim Semuju Nganda. We have more on this report.
Speaking to the media at their party headquarters in Najanankumbi, the FDC party spokesperson, also Chira municipality legislator Ibrahim Semuju Nganda, said FDC welcomes the news of vaccine donations, which are expected in the country next month, but now demand that government publishes a vaccination plan which will be followed to vaccinate all Ugandans.
These vaccines are likely to arrive in the country when we don't have a vaccination plan. You remember it took us nearly a whole year to exhaust 1 million doses. For 1 year we are still fidgeting with 1 million doses donated by COVAX, by the French, by other people. At the party we are now demanding for a vaccination plan.
As the country awaits a devastating third wave of COVID-19, FDC demands that government have a master plan of how the country will go through it, for example, feeding the poor again in case of another lockdown.
So we need also to plan, must we require to be feeding people again, like most likely it will be. Because if you are struck with the third wave and you're going to announce lockdown measures, it means you need to have a plan of feeding people, and now you must have a list. We've been now twice struck by serious COVID, at least once. But each time there is a new list. The first beneficiary of food, we are not the beneficiary of this money sent by Nabanja. Maybe the third wave it will be another group. Because we don't have a list of people who are vulnerable. They just imagine one list one day. So we now need to have all these things, because that's the lesson that you learn when you have been hit by a problem not once but 3 times, and even the 4th time we hear it will be there.
Uganda expects 9 million doses of Johnson & Johnson vaccines from the government of India next month, 18 million doses of Chinese Sinopharm, and 18 million other doses of unnamed type that will be supplied by COVAX facility.
So we want to ask people who are in command, in UPDF, in police, please, all your actions must be lawfully. Life is precious. Don't terminate it. Follow the lawful channel if life must be eliminated.
On the other hand, the FDC joins the rest of the country to mourn the death of Major General Paul Lokech and Major General Pecos Kutesa, who passed on last week, and asked all commanders to copy the good examples they lived. Nalgo Muyingo, Africa Today.
Moving on, the ex-president of Somalia, Sharif Sheikh Ahmed, leads commiserations to the Lion of Mogadishu, Major General Paul Lokech, who died on Saturday morning at his home. Now, Sharif Ahmed, who led Somalia until 2012, was a direct beneficiary of Major General Paul Lokech's commandering in the AMISOM operations against the Al-Shabaab. We have more on this report.
The former president, in a condolence message to President Museveni, described Major General Lokech as a great friend of Somalia and the Lion of Mogadishu. The message read in part that the Lion of Mogadishu played a massive role in defeating Al-Shabaab, adding that he will not be forgotten. The Somalia Chief Police Commissioner Abdi Hassan Muhammad Hijar also mourned Lokech, sending condolence messages to the Inspector General Police and the people of Uganda. African Mission in Somalia, AMISOM, also expressed they were saddened by the death of their Section 1 commander, Major General Paul Lokech. The Chief Executive Officer of Somalia TV, Abdul Razak, eulogized Major General Lokech as a great man. Major General Lokech was Uganda's AMISOM contingent commander from May 2011 to 2012 and again between December 2017 and December 2018.
Thank you so much, our reporter. Now let's go for a quick break. We shall come back with more news. Welcome back from the break. You're still watching TV Africa, the right to know. Now moving on, in our international news today, Chungu Wakumwaza, one of the co-founders of the ruling party Union for Democracy and Social Progress, who died on Saturday according to his party, a champion of federalism, Gabriel Chungu Wakumwaza, created the opposition party under Mobutu and currently the ruling party under President Felix Tshisekedi. We have more on this report.
Gabriel Chungu Wakumwaza died after a short illness in Angola, where he was hospitalized, according to a statement released by the Secretary General of the National Union of Congolese Federalists, Mukele Lama. Until his death, Gabriel Chungu Wakumwaza, nicknamed Baba wa Katanga, was president of the Provincial Assembly of Katanga, a position he acquired in February. A teacher by profession, he first appeared on the public scene in 1965 as a trade unionist representing his profession. He was then elected as a member of parliament and was also one of the 13 famous parliamentarians arrested in the early 1980s under the regime of the authoritarian late Mobutu because of their political opinions. Subsequently, he was appointed twice as governor of the Great Katanga by Mobutu and then under the presidency of Laurent Kabila between 1997 and 2001 and ambassador of the Democratic Republic of Congo to the United Arab Emirates.
Well, thank you so much, our reporter. Now moving on, Paul Rusesabagina, the Hotel Rwanda hero turned government critic, was denied access to the Kigali prison where his client is being held pending the verdict of his trial for terrorism and deported to Belgium. Take a look at the story.
According to Rwandan authorities, Vincent Laquin was deported and declared persona non grata for violating immigration laws. The Rwanda Bar Association raised a complaint because Laquin was not accredited to practice in Rwanda. Authorities said that Vincent came through a visitation visa and was not allowed to work in Rwanda with the said document. The judiciary announced on Friday that a Rwandan court will deliver next month its delayed verdict in the terrorism trial of Paul Rusesabagina. Initially, a decision in the highly watched case against the 67-year-old Rusesabagina had been due on Friday, but it was delayed without any reason given. The Rwandan judiciary said on Twitter that the court would now announce its verdict against Rusesabagina and his 20 co-accused on September 20th. at 11 a.m. Prosecutors have sought a life sentence for Rusesabagina, the former hotelier credited with saving hundreds of lives during the 1994 genocide and whose bravery inspired the Hollywood film Hotel Rwanda.
Moving on in our international news, Kenyan film industry is a powerhouse in the region that rakes in millions of dollars in terms of revenue, with notable names like Lupita Nyong'o and Eddie Gathegi already soaring high in Hollywood, but being hit hard by the COVID-19 pandemic. We have more on this report.
Just like in other countries, the industry suffered a major setback when lockdowns and restrictions on public gatherings were put in place by the government as part of the containment measures for the spread of COVID-19. The situation was so dire and had far-reaching implications for both the filmmakers and the actors. One actor by the name of Tani Mosi said that it was a very hard time for him, although the moment the country was opened, he had a few opportunities, but again very slim. There were efforts to help the industry players during the lockdown, but the stakeholders maintained that it wasn't sustainable. The Kenya Film Commission again came up with an idea of trying to support the filmmakers by creating a fund, but when you talk creative, it is broad, so whatever they tried to help out didn't reach everyone. Despite the fact that video-on-demand platforms are providing alternative ways of distributing movies, Kenyan content creators are still hesitant about trying the streaming sites in order to earn more. As Kenya's government is yet to lift the restrictions on public gatherings, the sustainability of the film industry will depend on how innovative the players become.
Moving on, Chad announced on Saturday that it will halve the number of troops deployed in February to the G5 Sahel anti-jihadist force in the three borders zone of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, citing a strategic redeployment. We have more on this report.
A contingent of 1,200 Chadian soldiers had been deployed in this area to fight against jihadist groups as part of the G5 Sahel multinational force, a group of 5 Sahelian countries that includes Chad, Mali, Mauritania, Niger, and Burkina Faso, which have been working since 2017 to cooperate in this fight. The jihadist groups involved are affiliated with Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State in the Great Sahara. The latest attack on Saturday against a village in this area in Niger left a dozen civilians dead. On Monday, another attack left 37 people dead. Mr. Kolamala assured that they still have about 600 soldiers on the ground, a decision agreed long ago with the G5 command. The Chadian troops are based in Terra, a town in southwestern Niger. France, which is heavily involved in the anti-jihadist fight in the region, recently announced the gradual reduction of its military forces in the Sahel in favor of a smaller force of 2,500 to 3,000 men compared to the previous 5,000.
It is still Africa Today. Let's take a quick break. We shall come back with more news. In a business news today, in Bujumbura, another fuel shortage is causing havoc, where several gas stations have run dry, while some are turning away their customers. Now, many Burundians are going around the city in search of a rare commodity. We have more on this report.
The Burundian Consumer Association voiced its concerns that the consequences are already visible in public transportation, especially in the evening and during rush hour. Many motorists say that they are very tired due to the fuel shortages in the country after moving from one petrol station to another without fuel. Pierre Nduwayo, head of the Consumer Association, said that fuel has a very important role in the life of the whole country, adding that they are concerned that this shortage will lead to the absence of nearly all products like food. Leonidas Sindaigaya, spokesperson to the Ministry of Water, Energy and Mines, revealed the quantity of fuel and petroleum products in stock, current imports and products on order are sufficient at the national level, adding that the apparent shortage that is observed on the territory is the result of some failures in the supply circuit.
Away from business, in our health news today, Guinea on Thursday questioned that diagnosis made by Côte d'Ivoire on a young Guinean woman who recently tested positive for Ebola in Abidjan, with Ivorian authorities saying they had no doubts. We have more.
The Guinean Minister of Health, Remy Lama, on Thursday demanded that Côte d'Ivoire carry out a new analysis. He also stressed in the letter that the Guinean medical team sent to Abidjan had not been able to access the patient. In response, the Ivorian Ministry of Health said they had no doubt about the diagnosis. He further reiterated that the Ebola variant found was similar to the one that was detected in Sierra Leone and Liberia. He also said that Pasteur Institute of Abidjan, which analyzed the samples, has been accredited for hemorrhagic events by the World Health Organization, so it is able to make an analysis of Ebola virus fevers. The patient also depicted symptoms of the Ebola virus like persistent diarrhea, fever and vomiting. The young Guinean woman had left the town of Labé in Guinea last week to travel to the Ivorian economic capital, 1,500 kilometers away.
In our sports news today, Moses Basena officially started his assistant coach duties for the Uganda Cranes team on Sunday, 22nd August 2021. This followed his reporting to camp at the Cranes Paradise Hotel, Chisasi, on Saturday. Now he took part in the Sunday morning demonstration drills at the team hotel as well as the afternoon recovery session at Kabira County Hotel, Bukoto.
Moses Basena was named assistant to Sabian Milutin Michos Rejovic after Charles Livingstone Mbabazi turned down the job for unclear reasons. This is the second time that Basena is working with Micho as part of the backroom staff that also has Frenchman Frank Plain as fitness and performance director, Adis Woku the video analyst, and Geoffrey Massa as team manager. He expressed delight upon reuniting with Micho and working together as a solid team. Basena was also impressed by the players in the first week of training under Micho, where they combined gym workouts with ball sessions. Meanwhile, 3 players sat out Sunday's recovery training sessions because of different ailments. Uganda Revenue Authority goalkeeper Alliance Nafian and RS Bakani forward Patrick Henry Kadu have muscle strains, whilst Chetume midfielder Nicholas Kasozi got a stomach bug. The team training resumes on Monday after the federation cancelled out the earlier planned training camp in Jordan, where they had lined up 2 international warm-up games against Syria. Federation for Uganda Football Associations planned an international build-up match against Ethiopia on Sunday 29th August 2021 at the Bahir Dar Stadium before facing Kenya on 2nd September 2021 in Nairobi.
Well, thank you so much, reporter. Now, before we end the bulletin, let's have a recap of our top stories. Suspended NGOs accuse government of witch hunt. FDC demands for a plan of vaccinating Ugandans. The Democratic Republic of Congo mourns founder of the ruling party, UDPS. And in our sports today, Basena kicks off duties as Uganda Cranes assistant coach. Thank you so much for being a loyal audience from where we started from. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We shall keep updating you. It is TV Africa, the right to know.